The helicopter groaned against the roar of the storm, its rotors slicing through thick clouds like knives. Rain pelted the metal skin, turning the interior into a slick, cold cage. Sergeant Amanda Hawk Reynolds gripped her harness straps, knuckles white, every muscle coiled and alert. She'd flown into combat zones before, faced ambushes, and walked through hell. But something about this mission felt off. The radio crackled with nervous voices, barely audible over the howling wind. "Enemy fire ahead," muttered a young ranger, his tone tight with fear. Amanda didn't flinch. Years of training had taught her that fear was a luxury soldiers couldn't afford. Through the rain-streaked windshield, she scanned the horizon. The mountain peaks of the Afghan border rose like jagged teeth, cloaked in black storm clouds. Somewhere in those heights lay their extraction point, a small village where they were to pick up a high-value informant. Simple, clean, quick. That was the plan. Plans never survive first contact. The helicopter lurched violently as a flash of light streaked fire. The pilot cursed, battling the controls as tracer rounds ricocheted off the fuselage. Metal groaned. Amanda felt the chopper tilt sharply, her harness digging into her shoulders. Her training screamed to stay calm, locate exits, prepare for impact. Then came the explosion, deafening, splitting the world in two. Fire ripped through the tail rotor, and Amanda's stomach dropped. She grabbed her harness, but a violent jolt hurled her across the cabin. The side door, mangled by shrapnel, swung open, and the wind pulled her like a giant hand. She was falling. Time slowed. Rain struck her face like tiny knives, the storm's roar deafening. Yet, amid the chaos, Amanda felt an eerie calm. She was alive. Instincts honed from countless jumps and survival exercises kicked in. She twisted in midair, angling toward a rocky slope below. Behind her, the helicopter screamed on, a metal beast fighting to survive. Her teammates' shouts were swallowed by the wind. "Amanda!" someone yelled, a voice filled with horror, but the distance consumed it. The mountains rushed up. She clenched her jaw, bracing for impact. The jagged rocks below promised death, but Amanda's mind raced through survival protocols. Tuck, roll, protect the head, absorb impact. The first strike was brutal. Pain exploded through her ribs, stealing her breath. She slid across rocks, wind whipping her hair, cuts opening along her arms, blood mingling with rain, stinging like fire. She didn't scream. Pain was irrelevant. Survival was everything. She came to a stop in a narrow ravine, hidden by shadow and rain. Her body ached, broken in places, but she was alive. The storm masked distant gunfire and the fading whine of the helicopter. Amanda lay still, listening, assessing, reminding herself she wasn't done. She couldn't be. Somewhere above, her unit assumed the worst. The captain's voice crackled through comms, directing the remaining Rangers to continue the mission, hearts heavy with presumed loss. Amanda knew they'd think she was dead, listed as KIA, but she was breathing, thinking, fighting. Rising slowly, she felt blood on her hands and face. Her armor was dented, straps torn, but her weapons were mostly intact. She tugged her radio free, static, dead, not unexpected. Communications rarely survived such impacts. She cursed under her breath, words lost in the storm, then focused on what mattered: the terrain, the enemy, the team she'd sworn to protect. The ravine was narrow, steep, filled with jagged rocks and mud. Each step required calculation. One slip could send her tumbling into the gorge below. Her ribs screamed, but Amanda leaned on her ranger training, moving with precision, testing every foothold, scanning for enemy patrols. Then she saw them, Signs of life. Footprints in the mud. Remnants of a makeshift camp. Enemy soldiers were searching the mountain. They hadn't seen her yet, but they would. She ran through her survival checklist. Concealment, movement, water, wounds. Each task was a battle against exhaustion, pain, and fear. Her body was battered, but her mind was razor sharp. She whispered the Ranger creed. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I will never quit. That mantra shielded her from despair. As night fell, the storm abated slightly, leaving a cold mist over the valley. Amanda found a shallow cave for shelter. She stripped mud from her cuts, bandaged wounds as best she could, and set a small fire using helicopter remnants. The warmth was minimal, but enough to remind her she was alive. Hunger, thirst, and fatigue pressed in, but her spirit remained unbroken. She thought of her team, trapped above, unaware she'd survived. They'd assumed she was gone, but she had a plan. Survive, rescue, complete the mission. That was her silent promise. The storm broke, revealing a moonlit canyon. Amanda peered out, surveying the cruel, unforgiving, yet beautiful mountains. Every crevice and shadow could harbor danger, but danger was what she'd trained to face head-on. She flexed her fingers, tested her wounds, and whispered to the night, "You're not taking me today." Distant artillery echoed, a reminder that this was only the beginning. Amanda, battered but unbroken, rose to her feet. Every step forward was a fight, every breath a victory. Somewhere in the storm-swept heights of Thunder Ridge, a ranger thrown from a helicopter refused to die. Because rangers don't fall, they survive. Months before Thunder Ridge, Amanda Hawk Reynolds walked into Ranger School with determination and purpose. Tall, lean, unassuming, she carried quiet confidence, but others doubted her immediately. Seasoned, imposing men questioned whether a woman could endure the brutal regimen. Whispers followed her. She won't make it. Amanda ignored them, her focus absolute. Days began before dawn. Cold rains soaking her uniform, wind whipping her skin. Every obstacle tested endurance. Scaling walls, crawling through barbed wire, crossing freezing rivers, carrying heavy packs across rugged terrain. Physical tasks paired with mental challenges, sleep deprivation, hunger, confusion, constant pressure. Designed to break recruits, she faced humiliation daily. During a 20-mile ruck march through ankle-deep mud, a male recruit shoved her, joking she'd never finish. Amanda didn't respond with anger. She focused on her steps, steady breathing, every muscle. Hours later, exhausted, shivering, soaked, she crossed the finish line, not celebrating, but helping a struggling recruit with cramps. Discipline and endurance were leadership tools. Marksmanship was her sanctuary. While others faltered after grueling exercises, she steadied her breathing, ignored the storm or sun, and made every shot count. During a field exercise simulating enemy engagement, she spotted a hidden sniper 2 clicks ahead, calculated trajectory, distance, and wind drift, then fired. The target fell silently. Instructors were stunned. Recruits stared, mouths agape. That's when she earned her call sign, Hawk. Skill wasn't enough. Amanda navigated skepticism and subtle sabotage. Her pack swapped with an empty one, water stolen, boots replaced with ones too small. She laughed quietly, fixed what she could, and continued. These moments became lessons, her focus unshakable, her mind sharper, her instincts precise. Leadership was another battlefield. During squad exercises, she mastered command under fire. Many dismissed her, but she remained assertive without arrogance, decisive without recklessness. When a teammate panicked during a river crossing, Amanda grabbed his arm, steadied him, and guided him to shore. Respect grew, not because she demanded it, but because she earned it through action. Sleep deprivation taught mental endurance. Nights shivering in mud, listening to coyotes and rustling leaves, taught calm in chaos. Hunger taught creativity. Rationing water taught discipline. Pain taught resilience. Every step, push, and obstacle trained her mind to function when others collapsed. By the second month, Amanda excelled. During a final field exercise simulating an enemy ambush, she led her squad through a dense forest at night, navigating without maps or radio, evading patrols, and completing objectives ahead of schedule. Soaked, bleeding from scrapes, exhausted, she returned to an instructor's disbelief. Reynolds doesn't quit. She recalculates. That's what makes her lethal. Her lethality wasn't just physical. Amanda's intelligence, intuition, and decisiveness set her apart. In survival exercises, she found water in a desert canyon, while others stumbled blindly. In navigation drills, she anticipated enemy routes, leading her team through ambush zones. Every exercise honed her instincts, proving survival wasn't luck, but preparation, observation, and will. Despite success, Amanda never let pride take root. She helped struggling recruits, shared rations, stayed alert for their safety. She understood the Ranger creed. The mission mattered, but so did her team's lives. This duality, lethal precision tempered by responsibility, became her hallmark. One night, during a survival exercise in freezing mountains, she huddled in a shallow cave with teammates. A male recruit shivered, muttering he couldn't go on. Amanda placed a hand on his shoulder. "You can," she said quietly. "The body wants to quit. The mind decides. Focus. Take the next step." That night, recruits slept beside her, no longer seeing her as a challenge, but a lifeline. During the final parachute jump, Amanda descended flawlessly, timing her release, controlling her landing, rolling to absorb shock. Her team cheered. Some silently respected her as extraordinary. By graduation, Amanda had endured exhaustion, injury, ridicule, sabotage, hunger, and fear, emerging stronger. Every bruise, blister, and sleepless night forged a soldier capable of surviving the impossible. Instructors remembered her not as the woman who completed Ranger School, but as the soldier who redefined expectations, showing fear could be mastered and resilience could bend death to one's will. This training allowed her to survive the fall from Thunder Ridge. She recalled her instructor's words, "Rangers don't quit, they adapt, they survive. When the impossible happens, they rise." Those words were her lifeline in the canyon. Every pain, cut, and step from Ranger School prepared her for this moment. She was no longer just a soldier. She was a force of nature, forged in fire. Though the storm howled, Amanda silently promised to survive, fight, and return. The mountains had thrown her into chaos, but they'd underestimated the woman who'd learned to endure, lead, and rise from every fall. The mission began like any other. Crisp air, gray skies, tension of the unknown. Amanda checked her gear meticulously. Every strap, buckle, and magazine counted. Her team moved with quiet efficiency, anticipation heavy. Intelligence confirmed a high-value Taliban informant awaited extraction in a remote village on the Afghan-Pakistan border. A quick in-and-out operation, or so they hoped. They'd rehearsed every scenario, simulated every enemy engagement during long nights at Fort Benning. But no simulation could replicate the mountain's uncertainty, the improvisation of enemies who'd lived there for decades, or subtle betrayals from unseen sources. Amanda trusted her instincts. Her gut screamed unease. The helicopter approached the landing zone cautiously, cutting through thick clouds. The storm had receded, leaving a brittle, cold wind. The pilot's eyes were sharp, scanning treacherous peaks. Amanda and the Rangers prepared for a fast descent, harnesses secured, rifles loaded, muscles tense. They were professionals, yet the mountains were unforgiving. One misstep could mean death. As the chopper hovered, unease rippled through Amanda. Something felt wrong. She checked her harness, confirming every connection, and noticed a faint looseness in the metal clip. Someone had tampered with it. Her mind raced. Accident? Poor maintenance? Sabotage? Who had access? In the adrenaline-charged atmosphere, she had no time to investigate, only to prepare. Touchdown in 2. The pilot's voice crackled. The helicopter lurched violently. A rocket-propelled grenade struck the tail rotor. Metal screamed. The bird shuddered. Wind roared. The compromised harness gave way, and Amanda plummeted. The world spun. Rain, clouds, jagged rock faces. Her teammates shouted her name, voices lost in the storm. She recalled every survival technique. Tuck, roll, protect vital points, assess injuries. The fall was brutal, ribs absorbing shock, blood mingling with rain. Pain surged, sharp and relentless. But Amanda forced herself to breathe, move, survive. Minutes stretched like hours as she assessed her situation. No radio, no immediate shelter, potential enemies nearby. She'd fallen, but she was alive. Above, her team fought to control the helicopter, unaware of her survival, trained to assume the worst. Command radios buzzed, reporting casualties, organizing extractions. Amanda's name was whispered with grief. Sergeant Reynolds, KIA. Meanwhile, insurgents knew of the crash, likely tipped off by leaks. Amanda's mind raced. Enemy ambush, betrayal, mechanical failure. The thought of sabotage, a calculated push, a loose harness, burned her anger, sharpened her focus. Lying among jagged rocks, bleeding, bruised, exhausted, Amanda moved. Pain was irrelevant. Survival mattered. Her training took over, guiding every decision. She avoided open ground, hugged shadows, observed distant patrols. She scavenged from the wreckage, a half-damaged canteen, a first aid kit, a dented but functional sidearm. Her backpack was partially destroyed. She used scraps of cloth, parachute, and netting to bandage wounds. Each action was a victory against despair. Hours passed, the sun dipping low, casting shadows across the rugged valley. Amanda found a small alcove, a natural cave offering minimal shelter. She rested briefly, tending deep cuts. Every breath hurt. Every movement was agony, but she reminded herself, Rangers don't quit. They survive. As night fell, she thought of her team, likely moving along their exfiltration route, unaware of her presence. They might assume she was lost. Her pulse quickened with resolve. Survival was the first step, rescue the next. The mission must continue. The informant awaited, her comrades' lives at stake. Betrayal gnawed at her. Who had sabotaged the harness? An enemy agent or rogue operative? She cataloged details, noting every clue for later, not just for survival, but for justice. Hours blurred into night. Amanda remained vigilant, listening for enemy movement, evaluating escape routes. She rationed water, crafted a sling for her fractured arm, and rested briefly. Sleep was impossible. Vulnerability was death. She whispered the Ranger creed, I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. By midnight, she moved to higher ground, observing enemy positions. Patrols were methodical but slow, unaware of the shadow in the canyon. Her mind raced with strategy, every branch, rock, and shadow a tool. She would move when they were least attentive, survive, and fight. Deep in the valley, helicopter wreckage smoldered, a reminder of the chaos. Amanda looked at the twisted metal, feeling defiance. They'd thrown her from the helicopter, but they'd underestimated a ranger forged in fire. Tomorrow, she'd move closer to her team, reclaim her mission. Tonight, she'd survive. Every wound, pain, and whispered mantra reinforced her will. Amanda, thrown from the sky, battered but unbroken, was a ghost ready to rise. The storm passed, leaving brittle dawn light filtering through jagged peaks. Amanda emerged from her cave, muscles screaming, ribs bruised, arm throbbing in a crude sling of parachute fabric and duct tape. Blood streaked her uniform, boots caked in mud and grit, yet she moved. Pain was a detail. Survival was the mission. The Valley of Bones stretched before her, cruel and jagged, nicknamed for scattered remains of travelers and combatants. The landscape was both enemy and ally. Cliffs concealed her, but one misstep could kill. She measured each step, testing footholds, calculating angles. Ranger training guided her, movement through dangerous terrain, silent, deliberate. Her first priority was water. The half-full canteen wouldn't last. She spotted a stream in a ravine, brown from runoff, but drinkable with filtration. Using torn uniform as a filter, she sipped cautiously, savoring the liquid. Hunger pressed, but food could wait. Survival demanded focus and energy. Amanda moved cautiously, staying low, scanning constantly. With no radio, she relied on training, observation exercises, reconnaissance drills. Navigation through hostile terrain became instinct. She calculated enemy patrol patterns from tracks, disturbed stones, and faint voices echoing through the valley. She saw signs of insurgents, footprints, burned supplies, discarded shell casings. They were methodical, unaware of the phantom above their positions. Amanda adjusted her path, crawling through mud and brush, staying downwind. Night fell quickly. She found a shallow alcove, reinforcing a barrier with metal shards and stone. She cleaned wounds with antiseptic wipes, cloth, and willpower. Her body screamed, hunger, exhaustion, pain, but she ignored it. She'd survived worse in training. Sleep was impossible. Every sound made her flinch. Every shadow sparked tension. She whispered the Ranger creed. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I will never quit. It wasn't ritual. It was strategy. Her team might be trapped, her mission incomplete. She couldn't fail. Over days, Amanda lived like a ghost, crafting traps for small wildlife, collecting rainwater and snow, rationing meticulously. She navigated silently, moving only when wind masked her steps, avoiding patrols. Every day battled elements, injury, isolation. She kept mental logs of enemy positions, noting patterns, weaknesses. Loneliness was crushing. At night, she rehearsed strategies, imagined extraction scenarios, planned paths. One evening, she found a villager's supply cache, grains, dried meat, water. Her pulse quickened with relief. She rationed meticulously, consuming only what maintained strength. The enemy was near. She couldn't risk exposure. Each bite, sip, movement was strategic. Staying put was dangerous. Insurgents would search thoroughly. She mapped terrain mentally, identifying corridors, ledges, ambush points, moving at dawn and dusk when shadows aided her. Her body ached, wounds a reminder of the fall, but she adapted. On the 7th day, she spotted smoke, a controlled fire. Her heart raced. Her team or enemies. From a ridge, she observed insurgents securing a village. Her team might be nearby, hidden. Rescue was no longer theoretical. It was necessary. The valley narrowed, cliffs rising. Amanda paused, calculating the safest descent. Every rock, ledge, gust of wind was a variable. She moved slowly, testing footholds, pain radiating through ribs and legs. Failure wasn't an option. At night, she reached a ridge overlooking a patrol route. Enemy soldiers moved predictably, as she'd noted days ago. Crouching, blending into shadows, she observed. Her tactical mind identified the moment to move. One misstep could mean death, yet hesitation could be fatal. She exhaled, steadying her breath, and descended. Her shadow merged with rocks, breathing muffled by wind. Below, patrols passed, unaware of the hunter above. Her resolve strengthened. Alone, wounded, outnumbered, she was in control. By dawn, she reached the lower ravine, muscles aching, supplies minimal, spirit burning. The village offered hope, shelter, intelligence, regrouping. She paused, whispering, "You don't know who you're dealing with. I survive." Alone, haunted, injured, Amanda pressed forward. The valley of bones, the mountains, had tried to break her. She was no ordinary soldier. She was a ranger, and rangers overcome. By the 5th day, Amanda had become a ghost. Her movements were silent, deliberate, lethal. She flowed with shadows, blending with rocks, scrub, moonlight reflecting off canyon walls. Enemy patrols were methodical, deadly, but Amanda anticipated their moves. Footprints, snapped twigs, discarded weapons built her mental battlefield map. She studied patterns, predicted movements hours ahead. Food and water were scarce. She hunted small animals with traps from her uniform and wreckage, collected rainwater and snow, rationed precisely. Hunger gnawed, but discipline controlled desire. Weakness wasn't an option. Locals noticed her presence, whispering of a shadow on the cliffs, striking and vanishing. Rumors spread among villagers and enemy scouts. A ghost soldier stealing supplies, disappearing without trace. Amanda's legend began before she realized it. To the enemy, she was a phantom. To her, she was a ranger surviving, protecting. One night, creeping along a canyon ridge, she observed an insurgent outpost. Supply lines were poorly guarded, but detection risk was high. She calculated a small ambush to disable communications, diverting attention from her objective, locating her team. A stone rolled under her boot, clattering. Guards froze, scanning. Amanda melted into shadow. They dismissed it. She was clever, patient, untouchable. Her mind wandered to her team, trapped in the mountains. Through observation and intercepted signals, she pieced together their likely location in a narrow valley miles east. Rescue was necessary. She couldn't fail. Every step closer increased danger. She sabotaged supply caches, destroyed communications, created diversions, each act measured, surgical. Her reputation grew. Insurgents whispered of a specter striking without warning. Amanda smiled in the shadows. She wasn't a ghost, just trained, relentless. She found caves to rest, collected firewood, made bandages for unhealed wounds. Pain was constant but irrelevant. Hunger and exhaustion pressed, but discipline pushed her forward. One night, she encountered a patrol, unaware of her. Lightly armed but numerous, she observed from a vantage point, calculating the moment to strike. Using shadows, she disabled one guard silently, disappearing before others reacted. This combination of observation, patience, and execution epitomized her training. As she moved deeper, she found signs of her team: makeshift shelters, footprints, equipment remnants. They were trapped. The enemy underestimated her, giving her a strategic advantage. She planned carefully, mapping terrain, patrol rotations, enemy strength. Any miscalculation could be fatal. Despite the toll, Amanda remained relentless, mastering stealth, timing movements with wind, using darkness and cover. Sleep was rare, limited to brief moments in caves or under cliffs. She rationed meticulously, taking only what maintained strength. Survival wasn't easy, but she'd proven endurance, intelligence, discipline overcame the impossible. Amanda orchestrated small attacks to weaken enemy confidence, creating confusion, fear. Soldiers reported disrupted supplies, missing caches, phantom attacks. They questioned their intelligence, safety, whispering of a supernatural adversary. By the seventh night, she knew the enemy encampment's layout holding her team. From a cliff, she plotted routes, timing, contingencies. The enemy was predictable, constrained by terrain and ignorance of the ranger in their midst. Her patience and stealth gave her the upper hand. She disabled a communications array, misdirected patrols, created conditions for rescue. Every step, action, breath was measured. Operating as a ghost, Amanda turned the Valley of Bones into her hunting ground, preparing to strike decisively. Through observation, patience, discipline, she'd become more than a survivor, a force, unpredictable, precise, unstoppable. The enemy underestimated her at their peril. Her team's fate rested in her hands. On a ridge overlooking the encampment, Amanda paused, body battered, wounds persistent, mind razor-sharp. She whispered, "I survive. I strike. I win." In the mountain's darkness, she was untouchable, a ghost, soon to be her team's salvation. As the sun ascended, painting cliffs gold and crimson, Amanda overlooked the valley where her team was trapped. Her ribs ached, arm throbbed, but her mind was sharper than ever. Days of moving unseen, gathering intelligence, learning patrols, mapping routes had led here. Survival was no longer the goal. Her team depended on her. From her vantage point, she saw them huddled behind boulders, maintaining a defensive perimeter. Their weapons were limited, morale strained, but discipline held. They believed she was gone, listed as KIA, yet she was alive, watching, planning, ready to strike. The Ranger Creed echoed, "I will never leave a fallen comrade. I will never quit." These words were her code. She wouldn't abandon her team, even wounded, outnumbered, alone. Failure wasn't an option. She observed enemy patrols, disciplined but predictable, constrained by terrain, unaware of her. Some guarded lookouts, others the path to her team. She noted rotations, timing, weak points. Her training calculated the optimal moment. Precision and patience were her weapons. She scavenged rocks, debris, fashioning distractions, small fires, displaced stones, triggered branches, to mislead patrols. Her movements were silent, deliberate. One misstep could cost her life. The toll was immense. Ribs throbbed, arm ached, fatigue weighed, but her mind remained resolute. Ranger school memories, crawling through mud, sleep deprivation, navigating terrain, leading under pressure, had prepared her. She calculated contingencies, alternate paths, extraction points, enemy reinforcements. Every detail mattered. Strategy and stealth intertwined. Nightfall brought challenges. Visibility dropped, temperatures fell, exposure risked. Amanda pressed forward, using shadows, cover, guided by wind, senses alert. She wasn't just surviving. She was hunting, planning, preparing. During reconnaissance, she found a lightly guarded supply cache. Instead of looting, she sabotaged communications, created diversions, forcing enemies to redistribute forces. The closer she moved to her team, the more dangerous the terrain. Narrow ridges, sheer cliffs, hidden crevasses. She navigated with precision, testing footholds, balancing carefully. Pain was constant, but her focus absolute. The team's lives, trust, mission outweighed discomfort. By dawn of the third day, she'd mapped the enemy's final defenses, identifying weaknesses, opportunities, crafting a plan, a solo strike to create chaos, disable enemies, clear an extraction path. The operation required flawless execution. Amanda's mind was calm, methodical, strategic. She recalled those who doubted her, instructors who pushed her, colleagues who questioned her. Those doubts were irrelevant. She embodied Ranger training, precision, resilience, will. She wouldn't fail her comrades. Under darkness, she moved into position, blending with shadows, eliminating isolated guards, sabotaging communication lines, creating diversions, misleading the enemy. Patrols were confused, vulnerable. Her team remained unaware, but every action was for them. The bond forged in combat drove her. The mission was personal. She would succeed. Hours later, above the encampment, Amanda observed, planned the final assault. Her body ached, but her mind was laser-focused. She'd calculated every movement, timed every strike, identified escape routes. The Rangers were trapped, but with precision, she could free them. She took a deep breath, whispering, "I will not fail. I will bring you home." Every lesson, exercise, discipline coalesced. She descended, moving like water through shadows. Each step brought her closer, each breath controlled. Enemy soldiers were disoriented by her diversions. She struck, neutralizing threats, leaving chaos. Her presence was undetectable, a phantom among unprepared men. By first light, the path was clear. Amanda signaled her team from concealment. Their eyes widened in disbelief. She'd survived. The impossible was reality. Amanda, battered but unbroken, had not only survived, but was reclaiming the mission, rescuing her comrades. As the sun broke over jagged peaks, Amanda moved into position. Her team, huddled below, weary, alert, desperate, scanned the horizon, unaware she was their salvation. Every step was calculated, deliberate. Failure wasn't an option. Her ribs ached, arm throbbed, but her mind was razor-sharp. Training prepared her for this. She surveyed enemy positions, 5 patrols, a sniper in a guard tower, a unit guarding supplies, communications. Head-on confrontation was suicide, but Amanda was a ghost, striking from nowhere. Her plan relied on stealth, precision. She neutralized the sniper with a long-range shot from her M4, hitting the scope, rendering the weapon useless. The guards slumped. Enemies below didn't notice. Her pulse stayed steady, focus unbroken. Timing was everything. She created diversions, falling debris suggesting movement from multiple directions. Enemies shifted, leaving gaps. Amanda slipped into a canyon toward her team. Movements fluid, ghost-like, every breath measured. Reaching the encampment's edge, she spotted Private First Class Morales, bleeding, slumped against a rock, and Sergeant Jenkins, alert but exhausted. Their eyes widened when they saw her shadow in the mist. She nodded subtly. The impossible had arrived. She signaled them to follow. They moved with precision, trusting her. Amanda guided them through shadows, using cover to avoid patrols. Every decision was critical. A misstep could mean death. The mountains taught her patience, timing, adaptability. Enemies noticed irregularities. Shouts echoed as they found disabled equipment. Panic spread. Amanda capitalized, neutralizing threats quietly. Her team, inspired, regained confidence, following silently. At a choke point, insurgents blocked the path. Amanda calculated. Engage, divert, bypass. She chose a combination, using a controlled avalanche to scatter them, then took out two with precision shots. Chaos reigned. Enemies didn't realize the source. Hours passed, guiding her team through treacherous terrain, loose rocks, sudden drops, hidden crevices. When someone faltered, Amanda supported them, reinforcing body and morale. Approaching the extraction point, they faced a fortified enemy position. Direct engagement was deadly, but Amanda analyzed weaknesses, patrol rotations, sight lines. Using darkness, shadows, terrain, she neutralized sentries, guiding her team along a hidden trail. When engagement was unavoidable, she struck with suppressed shots, hand-to-hand precision, tactical distractions. They reached the extraction zone. A helicopter descended, stirring dust. A few enemies remained, regrouping. Amanda's resolve hardened. From a ledge, she provided cover fire, distractions, giving the helicopter time to lift off. Her team scrambled aboard, exhausted but alive. Sergeant Jenkins looked at her, awed. "Amanda, you made it," he whispered. She nodded, face streaked with dirt, blood, sweat. Words were unnecessary. The mission succeeded, but her task wasn't complete. She drew remaining enemies away, using terrain, misdirection, ensuring the helicopter's safety. Every move was precise, reinforcing why she was called Hawk. As the helicopter cleared the peaks, Amanda glanced at the Valley of Bones, which had tried to claim her. She'd moved through shadow, pain, chaos to bring her team home. The impossible was accomplished. Her team, secure, watched in awe as the woman they thought dead guided them through deadly terrain. When the helicopter reached safer airspace, Amanda allowed brief relief. Every wound, ache, pain was worth it. She'd saved lives, upheld the Ranger Creed, defied odds. The mountains, enemy, had tried to defeat her. She prevailed. Her team rallied around her, voices filled with gratitude, awe, respect. Amanda remained silent, words secondary to action. She'd survived, outwitted enemies, ensured no comrade was left behind. She was more than a soldier, a legend. The helicopter touched down at base as the sun climbed. Dust swirled, mixing with spent fuel and rain-soaked earth. Amanda stepped off last, movements deliberate despite exhaustion. Her uniform torn, face streaked, arm in a sling, she stood tall. Her team followed, eyes wide with disbelief, gratitude. They'd mourned her, now witnessed her triumph. Sergeant Jenkins shook his head. "We thought you were gone," he said quietly. Amanda's expression softened slightly. Her presence, survival, leadership spoke louder than words. Medics ushered her to the bay, assessing fractured ribs, lacerations, bruising, mild hypothermia. Despite trauma, she remained composed, answering calmly, detailing her actions. Her clarity under stress astonished medics, officers. In debriefing, she recounted the sabotage, fall, days alone, enemy patrols, rescue with precision. Commanders listened, eyes widening at her ingenuity, resilience. "You survived the impossible and saved everyone," one said. "That's beyond exceptional." Ranger school memories, mud, exercises, discipline, prepared her. Each bruise, blister was a lesson for this scenario. Recognition spread. Soldiers, civilians called her a legend. Her calm, tactical maneuvers against odds became a case study. Amanda remained grounded, refusing accolades, insisting actions were for the team, mission, principles. Alone on the base perimeter, she looked at the serene mountains, tracing her path. Cliffs, ravines, caves. Survival was discipline, focus, observation, adaptability, never leaving a comrade behind. Recovery was slow. Medics monitored ribs, infection. Physical therapy began, but her mental resilience was intact. She trained quietly, reinforcing drills, marksmanship. Her team mirrored her discipline. She wasn't just a survivor, a mentor, leader, testament to Ranger ideals. Command awarded commendations for valor, leadership, ingenuity. Her greatest reward was her peers' respect, knowing she'd fulfilled the Ranger creed. Months later, she became a symbol of resilience, speaking at exercises, sharing lessons on preparation, fortitude, awareness. Recruits absorbed her strategies. She remained humble, crediting her team, instructors, mountains. One evening, she returned to the crash site, now cleared, memory vivid. She recalled the fall, pain, isolation, determination. A smile crossed her face. She'd faced death, survived, risen stronger. Amanda Hawk Reynolds, more than a soldier, was a legend, a ghost who walked shadows and returned to light. Her story of courage, resilience, determination would echo in training halls, barracks, battlefields. Every recruit would learn, a Ranger's will is unbreakable. A true Ranger never leaves a comrade behind. As night settled, Amanda looked at the stars, reflecting on her journey. Pain, fear, isolation tested her, yet she endured, acted with courage, precision, determination. The mountains, storms, enemies struck, but she survived, rose, protected. She was a Ranger, unstoppable. Her story of courage living forever. Sergeant Amanda Hawk Reynolds' story teaches us a powerful lesson. Resilience and determination can overcome even the most impossible odds. Thrown from a helicopter, presumed dead, she survived the brutal Valley of Bones, defying pain, hunger, and enemy patrols to rescue her team. Her journey reminds us that true strength lies in discipline, focus, and an unbreakable will to never abandon those who depend on you. Have you faced a moment where you defied the odds? Share your story in the comments. Subscribe and hit the bell for more inspiring tales of courage that ignite the heart.